The life of Napoleon Bonaparte. History remembers kings, history remembers conquerors, but sometimes history remembers a man so ambitious that he tried to bend the world to his will, a man who rose from a small island to become the most powerful ruler in Europe, a military genius, a ruthless strategist, a dreamer who crowned himself emperor. He was feared by kings, followed by soldiers, and studied by historians for more than 2 centuries. His name, Napoleon Bonaparte. But his story is not just about victory. It is a story of ambition, a story of power, a story of glory and devastating downfall. Tonight we explore the life, the rise, the triumph, the war, and the fall of the man who once ruled Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica. Just months before his birth, the island had been taken by France from the Republic of Genoa. To many French citizens, Corsicans were outsiders, and young Napoleon would grow up feeling like one. His family belonged to minor Italian nobility. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a lawyer who supported the new French government. His mother, Letizia Ramolino, was strong, disciplined, and deeply protective of her children. Napoleon was not born into wealth. He was not born into power, but he possessed something far more dangerous: ambition. As a child, Napoleon was quiet, serious, and intensely focused. Other boys played games. Napoleon studied. He devoured books about history, war, and great leaders, especially one man, Alexander the Great. He dreamed of conquest, even as a boy. At the age of 9, Napoleon was sent to military school in France. The experience was harsh. He was mocked for his accent, mocked for his Corsican background, mocked for being poor, but the ridicule forged something inside him: determination. He studied mathematics, artillery, and strategy with obsessive dedication. At 16 years old, he graduated as an artillery officer. The boy from Corsica had entered the French army. History was beginning to move. In 1789, France exploded into chaos. The French Revolution had begun. Kings were overthrown. The monarchy collapsed, and Europe watched in shock. For many officers, the revolution meant danger. For Napoleon, it meant opportunity. In 1793, French royalists seized the port city of Toulon and invited the United Kingdom to occupy it. The revolutionary government needed someone to reclaim the city. A young artillery officer proposed a bold strategy. That officer was Napoleon. His plan worked brilliantly. French forces captured key positions and forced the British fleet to withdraw. Napoleon was just 24 years old, and he was promoted to general. His legend had begun. In 1795, royalists attempted to overthrow the revolutionary government in Paris. The city was on the brink of civil war. Napoleon was given command. His solution was brutal but effective. He ordered cannons loaded with grape shot. When the rebels advanced, Napoleon fired. Hundreds were killed. The rebellion collapsed. From that moment, Napoleon was seen as the man who saved the revolution. Napoleon's greatest victories came during the Napoleonic Wars. But before becoming emperor, he needed power. In 1796, Napoleon was given command of the French army in Italy. His soldiers were starving, poorly equipped, demoralized, Napoleon addressed them with a famous speech. "Soldiers, you are naked and poorly fed, but I will lead you into the most fertile plains in the world." And he did. Within months, he defeated the armies of Austria. His speed, creativity, and tactical brilliance shocked Europe. Napoleon was no longer just a general. He was becoming a legend. In 1798, Napoleon launched an expedition to Egypt. His goal was to threaten British trade routes to India. He won battles on land, but the British Navy, led by Horatio Nelson, destroyed the French fleet at the Battle of the Nile. Napoleon was stranded, but even in defeat, his ambition remained unstoppable. In 1799, Napoleon returned to France. The government was weak and unpopular. Napoleon saw his moment. In a dramatic political maneuver known as the coup of 18 Brumaire, he seized control. France now had a new leader, Napoleon Bonaparte. In 1804, Napoleon made a shocking decision. He would crown himself emperor. During the coronation in Notre Dame Cathedral, something extraordinary happened. Instead of allowing the Pope to crown him, Napoleon took the crown himself and placed it on his own head. It was a message to the world. His power came from no king, no church, only himself. At the height of his power, Napoleon controlled most of Europe, but powerful enemies remained. In 1805, Napoleon faced the combined armies of Russia and Austria. The battle took place near the town of Austerlitz. Outnumbered, but brilliant, Napoleon lured the enemy into a trap, then struck the center of their army. The victory was devastating. Historians still call it Napoleon's greatest battle. Despite his victories on land, Napoleon could not defeat United Kingdom. The British Navy ruled the seas. At the Battle of Trafalgar, the British fleet destroyed Napoleon's naval power. An invasion of Britain became impossible. Napoleon turned to economic warfare instead. Napoleon ordered Europe to stop trading with Britain. This policy was called the Continental System, but enforcing it created resentment across Europe. Some countries secretly continued trade, including one powerful empire, Russia. In 1812, Napoleon made the decision that would destroy him. He invaded Russia. Napoleon marched with over 600,000 soldiers. It was the largest army Europe had ever seen, but the Russians refused to fight a decisive battle. Instead, they retreated, burning cities and crops behind them. Napoleon captured Moscow, but the city was empty, and soon it burned. Winter arrived, food ran out. The retreat became a nightmare. Snow, starvation, disease. Only a fraction of Napoleon's army survived. The emperor who once ruled Europe had suffered a catastrophic defeat. In 1814, Napoleon was forced to abdicate. He was exiled to the island of Elba. Many believed his story was over. They were wrong. In 1815, Napoleon escaped exile. He returned to France, and thousands of soldiers rallied to him. For 100 days he ruled again, but Europe united against him one final time. On June 18, 1815, Napoleon faced the Allied armies near the village of Waterloo. The British army was led by Arthur Wellesley. The battle was brutal. Napoleon fought desperately, but reinforcements from Prussia arrived. Napoleon's army collapsed. The emperor was defeated. For the last time, Napoleon was exiled again, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. There, far from the world he once ruled, Napoleon spent his final years reflecting on his life. He died in 1821, but his impact never faded. Napoleon introduced a legal system known as the Napoleonic Code. It emphasized equality before the law, religious freedom, and property rights. Many countries still base their laws on it today. To some, Napoleon was a tyrant. To others, a hero, a military genius, a symbol of ambition. He rose from obscurity to rule an empire. He reshaped Europe, and even in defeat, his name became immortal. More than 2 centuries later, the world still studies his battles, still debates his legacy, still wonders what drives one man to chase destiny so fiercely that he attempts to conquer the world. Napoleon Bonaparte, the emperor who rose like a storm and fell like thunder, but whose story will echo through history forever.